Hey, it's Coolio if you don't know, here with a bit of a one-off video thing. This is, just one second here. This is Reaping the Dungeon by Ron Heuse, I don't know. Something like that anyway. Let's get started, shall we? So before we start, let's take a look at the introduction here. It is the year 2048. A research lab based on Jupiter has been forced underground by a machine gone out of control. The machine built by the lab produces creatures so rapidly they are driven deeper underground. They cannot escape the machine. You have just received a message from your father, who is head of the research lab, requesting your help. He spoke of a special weapon that they had accidentally left behind during their evasion. Apparently, I have lost the ability to speak, but that's probably what I get for recording videos at 1:30 in the late night. Where was I during their evasion? He requests you to descend 150 meters and recover it. Strange things grow below the surface of Jupiter, such as plants that produce cells required for survival. Many species of magic mushrooms can also be found. You'll encounter many creatures the machine left behind, along with other obstacles. To succeed, you must use your resources efficiently and purchase equipment and supplies carefully. Jupiter now awaits. Enter does nothing. Escape does something. Alright, so first, I'm gonna go take a look in the. Oh boy, look at the price of copper. Yeah, I'm not doing this. One thing that I always do on the first floor is the very first thing is check the price of copper. 1.3 is good. As you can see, the average is 1.0 for copper. So obviously, the higher the value is, the more that copper will be worth when we sell it back to the store. So 1.3 is a pretty good price. Here we have a rubble crab, which is our basic enemy. Holding down control and pressing a direction will attack an enemy. As you can see, very basic PC speaker sounds here. Wow, really? That's the drop shaft. I wasn't expecting to see it like right now, but the drop shaft is what takes us to the next level. While it is not tagged, it will continue to move around the level until you can find it and tag it. In this case, I found it and tagged it before it even moved, so we won't even get to see that. There we go. I've just used the bioscanner on a cell plant. The bioscanner basically gives us details on anything living, whether it's a cell plant or an enemy or what have you. And it's telling us here that 68 turns to the next stage and 72% chance of oxygen cells. So what we're going to do is actually wait 68 turns for this cell plant to go to the third stage, where it shall turn into nothing, because apparently I'm not even skipping anything. Okay. Hold down space to skip. Gotcha. So I'm using a slightly different configuration than I usually use. So now it's turned light blue, which means that we can extract oxygen cells out of it. Oxygen is our basic, you could call it a time limit. Moving around consumes oxygen cells. And a fair amount of them. I believe you start at a consumption of 1.3 oxygen cells per move. So, yeah, do be careful about everything that you do, especially at the very beginning. Oh. Now, there are 4 stages to cell plants. During the first and second stages, they are not cultivatable, so you have to just keep letting them grow. During the third stage, it will be at its largest, and you'll be able to extract a fair amount of cells out of it, whether they're oxygen, energy, or health. And during the fourth one, they kind of wither away, and you get what you get. Usually about 30 to 50 cells. Oh, hi. So yes, there are three types of cells. There's oxygen, there's health, which is self-explanatory, and there's energy. All of your weapons and devices work on energy. Weapons work by taking up a certain amount of energy every time you use them, and devices work in that you need to recharge them using a certain amount of energy, and then that charge will stay in the device until you use it. Now, consecutive recharges will have the effect of having it cost less per recharge to actually add more charges. I think it's like the first consecutive recharge costs like 10% less, and then 20%, all the way down to 40% less. Here's some oxygen cell vents that turn health cells into oxygen cells, which can be useful if you're running out of the latter while still having a fair amount of the former. Now, I had tried to do this game some time ago with fraps for my own channel, and the fact is that this game does like to change resolutions and graphics modes sometimes, particularly when you activate the map, like so. Oops. Like so. And Fraps doesn't like when resolutions change. It actually cuts the video and then you lose a chunk of audio too, and it's just awkward. But now I'm able to do it, so I'm doing it now. Isn't that a thing? I'm able to do it now, so I'm doing it now. Oh man. A novel concept if I ever heard of one. So this game I actually originally discovered on the 2000 Hit Shareware Games CD. Anyone who's never heard of it, well, you're probably not really missing that much. Anyone who has heard of it is more than likely groaning right now. There are 7 creatures around, mostly well, on the first floor they're all rebel crabs, so that's not any surprise. Trying to find as much treasure as we can here so that we can sell it back to the store. Now there are some things to keep in mind, particularly weight. Everything but credits weighs something. I assume that for credits you have a credit card or some such that allows you to just have a weightless universal currency that works throughout Jupiter, but we'll just be needing it for the underground part of it. Which, considering that Jupiter is a gas giant, I'm surprised that there is even a ground part of it at all. Let's see, 144. I'm gonna go searching around a little bit and see if I can come back in about 144 turns. Each stage of development is 250 turns. Man, I keep running into these stage 4 plants. Okay. Not quite 140 turns, but at least we didn't waste most of that time. We were able to map around a little bit. Ah, that doesn't usually happen. Now, from killing monsters, we are gathering raw crystals. Raw crystals can be used to improve our attributes, like so. One thing that I always get at the beginning is improved damage. It costs 100 raw crystals for the first percent, and then 10 more for each additional percent. It's worth getting 1% of this because the improved damage will be rounded up, so 1% improved damage is guaranteed 1 additional point of damage for each attack. So it's definitely worth looking into. Now, some of the other things include being able to see from further away, improving your extraction talent, uh, spending less oxygen. That's an important one, obviously. And so forth and so on. Things such as also defense, um, which doesn't really come in that handy unless you put a lot of raw crystals into it that really are more worth putting into things like seeing from further away. I am seriously just running into all of the tiny cell plants. It's like I'm just barely too late to get anything good. So I believe that the free version to this game, which goes down to 150 meters until you find the oxide rifle, the free version is kind of easy to find. Um, I don't know if the registered version is still distributed, like at all. I was a bit lucky with mine in that the way that I got mine was I was kind of planning to do a game similar to this, and I wanted to kind of get Ron's blessing, and he basically flat out said no. But for my time, sent me a free copy of Reaping the Dungeon. So kind of boo, but also yay. And then later on, I learned that for something legally distinct, you don't even need to get permission from anyone. You just make it just different enough, and nobody can do anything about it. Since then, I've moved on to other projects, but I still kind of have the idea I originally had for this one. That's way too many turns. And perhaps someday I will come out with it and actually make a game, but until then, we'll enjoy Reaping the Dungeon. I'm gonna do a couple of floors of this, and it's all kind of the same, but I've always had at least a little bit of fun with this. Oh, another tiny plant. Now, for any corridors that are 2 spaces wide, it's good to go in diagonals so you can actually map everything. Make sure you're not missing anything. I'm sure that you've noticed from my whole style of playing that I like to have absolutely everything mapped. And if you don't have everything mapped, then how do you know that you've found everything? Even sometimes when you have everything mapped, you still haven't found everything. Well, I should be running pretty low on monsters now, at least, creatures. If I can find another data chip nearby. There we go. Creatures, one left. And of course it is a rubble crab because, as mentioned, there's nothing else 10 meters down. It's all rubble crabs. Now we're also finding some various items such as mushrooms and visual orbs, things like that. Let's use a visual orb actually. There are four kinds. There's the red visual orb that will show all walls, the green one that will show all creatures, the blue one that will show all cell plants, and the white one that will show all treasure. I'm going to use a green one so that we can locate our remaining rubble crab, which is over to the left side there. And now we're going to go chase him down. 86 turns, might be worth it. No. Was not expecting it to turn into energy. It had a very good chance of becoming oxygen. I should be finding our rubble crab pretty soon. There it is. Now defeating the last monster will give us a creature destruction bonus, which is either credits or a choice between 3 other rewards. I usually go with raw crystals if any are offered because raw crystals are extremely useful as demonstrated previously. In fact, now I have enough to increase visual and mapping. So now looking north, we'll be able to reveal 2 spaces instead of just 1. I'm going to try to get everything up to 2 at the very least. As you can see, the next one costs 350 crystals. So we're a little ways off from that. But the bonus definitely helped us there. I don't like it being lopsided like that, but still, anything to help me map as much out as possible. I believe you can get east and west up to 15 and north and south up to 7 because because of the way that the whole text graphics thing works, because these are modified ASCII graphics. And really, I like games that go with the whole ASCII graphic motif. Let's see how much treasure we got. All of it. Excellent. So let's go sell it. Turn all of our copper into well-earned credits. There we go. That decreased our total weight down to 10 kilograms. I like how this game uses metric. And health cells are a bit low priced. Oxygen cells could definitely be better. Let's get us up to 6,500. And let's get this up to 900. There's a bunch of weapons that we can get here. I'm not going to bother with any of them yet, mostly because I don't nearly have enough money for any of that. But since we found all the treasure, I'm gonna go ahead and use the drop shaft and drop down to the next floor. If you did not kill all of the creatures in a floor and try to use the drop shaft, it will warn you of this, that you have not claimed the level bonus yet, but there's no penalty for not getting everything, so. It's not gonna like come back and bite you in the end or something. Here's our new enemy for this floor, the Tripus. As you can see, it has 3 attacks, so fairly more lethal than the old Rubble Crab. We're going to find a total of 15 creatures, one of which we have defeated, and about the same amount of Rubble Crabs as Tripuses. Or Tripi, I suppose. Ah. Got that one in 2 hits. That is thanks to my improved damage bonus. Oh yes, and starting on 20 meters, you can start finding rock crystals just plain on the ground. Of course, the lower down you go, the more chance you have of finding more rock crystals just lying there. And the stronger the enemy that you defeat, the more rock crystals you will get. Here's our shop. That is 74, highest chance of energy, fair chance of health. Oh boy, the price for copper here is trash. So I think I'm going to be holding on to my copper until the next floor. Silver is pretty decent, so I'll be able to actually make some money out of this. I've got some energy there. Wouldn't mind having a little more oxygen though. Okay. Really, I should have put on some music for this, but I totally forgot. Oh well. It will add to the whole atmosphere that this game originally has created. Now, you may have seen a little message go by there. It went by pretty fast, so if you didn't see it, no worries. But it basically said that the drop shaft has relocated. So you need to find a new location and tag it. There's no time limit to how long that you take to actually find the drop shaft. It's not going to completely disappear at some point. The only time limit, of course, being your oxygen gauge. Let's see where the drop shaft presently is. X104, Y68. So to the west and to the south. So right around here. There. There we go. So now it will remain on the map. It will not move around again. And when it comes time to actually go down to the next floor, we shall be ready for it. We shall know exactly where to go. Travis! Dang it. Actually, there's a couple of creatures up there, isn't there? Let's see if I can get around to it. Oh, bit of a trove. Travis! There we go. Another Tripus down. But yes, every every weapon and every device has a chance of failing on use. If it fails, then whatever charge or energy that would have been spent on a successful use will still be used. So it's a bit of a cheap move, but it does kind of add a bit of a risk mechanic to it. There are a few ways to improve that percentage that you can see there next to the awards weapon and device. One way is to just simply use them. The more you use them, the better chance you have of actually successfully using them, either connecting an attack or using the device properly. And that does go all the way up to 100%, so you can also spend money at a shop. A weapon shop will let you increase your weapons, obviously. In a device shop, will let you increase your percent on devices. 33 turns. It's not long to wait. There we go. And the other way is to use raw crystals. Now, each weapon and device has its own percentage because obviously you're not going to use every weapon or device in exactly the same way. So that is a concern to address if you do decide to spend your valuable resources. Wow, they're all bunched up everywhere, aren't they? Yeah, that is something to consider if you want to use your valuable resources to actually increase the percentage that way. I got a bunch of oxygen there. It's always good. Ah, they are all coming out to find me, aren't they? They are bloodthirsty. Well, there can't be much left now. And actually, yeah, I have enough raw crystals to increase my mapping again. I'm going to go south. The next one costs 420. Now I'm going to start trying to be a little more cautious at least, because I am running out of health. Let's take a look at the map here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's this particular version of DOSBox or if it's just DOSBox in general, but when especially dealing with text graphics, there does tend to be some errors in redrawing the screen. So you'll end up with little chunks of errors like you see by the coordinate display there. How many creatures are left? 2. Mostly rebel crabs. If not all of them, but ah. Yeah, there are a few different kinds of pits. Obviously, you don't want to land in a pit. There's a shallow pit, which takes off a little bit of health and has a 10% chance of escape. There's a large pit that has or a deep pit, I should say. Oh, look at how cheap oxygen is on this floor. Of course, we're going to need health if we want to survive. Yeah, there's a deep pit that has higher damage and I believe 5% chance of escape. And there is a spiked pit which has continuous damage while you're in it and also a 5% chance of escape. Right now we just have to worry about shallow pits. "89 turns. I'm gonna go take a look at least. See if there's anything that I can discover around here. Oh, visual scan. Ooh, health. Hello. Okay. Still on the lookout for that last creature. Could be a rebel grab, could be a tripus. I don't know what it does if there's no actual majority, if it just goes with the first monster that it found, or if it just goes randomly, or what. I got a fair amount of health back anyway with that, with purchasing some and then finding the health plant. And I want to definitely invest in reducing oxygen costs pretty soon, though. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, oxygen plant. Where are you, last guy? I don't want to hurt you. I just want to kill you expediently so you don't feel pain. Oh. Let's go ahead and use a visual orb. Okay. It's pretty much in an area that I just haven't gotten around to yet. Looking around for treasure. And also looking around for that last creature. Trying to find it before it finds us. And then where will we be? Huh? Then well ugh. I can't even speak menacingly properly. Huh. There's no path over there. Well, there's one thing that we can try. We can either go around, or we can try one of these magic mushrooms. There are several types of magic mushrooms, of which we have 3 currently. We have teleporting, which is pretty obvious. Speed boost, which will increase your performing speed by 1. I'll get into that in a little bit here. And visual scan, which will increase your mapping by 2 in all directions. Now each of these lasts a specific number of turns, except for teleporting, which has an instant effect of teleporting, obviously. That puts us even farther away from where we want to be. Is that good? Yeah, I suppose that works. Now, everything in the game has a performing speed from 1 to 5. The basic idea is Your performing speed is how many turns that you can spend in the amount of time that it takes another creature of performing speed 1 to perform 1 turn. So if you have a performing speed of 3 and you're up against something with a performing speed of 1, you'll be able to attack 3 times before it can attack even once. There's still no way around there? Well, I see one thing that I can try, which is the teleporter. There are always 2 teleporters on each floor, and one teleporter will take you to the other. Let's see where this one takes us. Totally to the wrong place. But yeah, this can happen where there are some completely disconnected places that will prevent you from being able to actually kill all the creatures. It's an annoying mechanic, which really shouldn't be a thing ever, but it's there and you have to deal with it. Let's see just for fun if we can... looks like no. I'm not going to actually use the last teleport mushroom because if we were to end up where the last creature is, and there is not a teleport mushroom there, then we get stuck and basically have to run out the clock, lose our oxygen, lose our health, and then lose our lives. Now, we don't have a whole lot of silver, so I'm not going to bother with cashing it in. I'm also going to have to give up on that last creature. So no bonus this time. Oh well, let's move on. Alright, so now we start getting some diamonds. Diamonds are a spelunker's best friend. Oh, a lot of raw crystals too. 169, 67. Let's see how many creatures are on this floor. 14. And mostly Tripus. Let me tell you what, I've dealt with Tri-Pi, I can handle you. Let me see if I can actually get both of those plants. A good chunk of oxygen out of that. But I believe that on that 30 meters down, we do get one of the bigger problems early in the game as far as creatures. Now, that could be at 30 meters, it could be at 40 meters, I'm not 100% sure. But if we run into it, I will definitely point it out. Oh, nothing over here. Nothing in this little room here. A few health cells. Every little bit helps. Unless it's oxygen, in which case you need a lot of oxygen for it to help. Okay, let me just check here to see how much it costs to decrease oxygen. Oh, it only costs 250 for 1 point. So why not? Now we only expend 1.2 points of oxygen per turn. Here's the guy, Bone Crusher. I'm actually going to use a bioscanner charge on him. So speed of 1, 23 crystals, gets you some copper as well. This guy has no regular attack, but he has a 30% chance every turn to perform crushing jaws for 25 to 40 health. And that can be a bit of a problem. Also, you might see here that we cross something. It's a little hard to see, but there's a little red dot there, and that's a small mine. There are small mines and large mines. Neither of them are guaranteed to go off when you step on them, but of course, if they do go off, well, you lose a chunk of health. On the plus side, if they do go off, they disappear permanently. Travis. And we are running very low on oxygen here, so hopefully I can find the shop pretty soon. Now, the order of shops is not random. Oh, shallow pit. That we'll have to actually cross again, making it completely useless that I got that cluster of health. And speaking of shops, actually, here we go. This is a magic shop. Wow, exchange rates are awful. And yet I'm still going to go ahead and sell enough copper. No, I'm going to sell off my silver first. And my gems. Then I'm going to sell just enough copper to buy the wizard special, which will decrease oxygen use by 50% for the rest of this floor. Hopefully that will pay for itself. So now our oxygen consumption is down to 0.6. The one downside to this is while your any stats that are being affected by magic, whether it's from mushrooms or from the magic shop, cannot be improved. So right now, if I had enough raw crystals to improve oxygen consumption, I couldn't do it right now because it's being affected. 177 turns. Let's go for it. Since we're spending less oxygen anyway. And I think that was a net gain. Oh geez. Detected by a small floor mine for 86 damage. And this one is 201 turns. Now you'll notice that my bioscanner has 3 charges left. So obviously once those charges are up, we'll need to recharge again. And we do have a fair amount of energy, but it does cost, oh geez, we can't afford to keep missing against this guy. Oh, 2 of them! Oh, fantastic. Oh, come on. There we go. It's another small floor mine that we managed to avoid. Die, you fiend! You cur! Oh, nothing over here, but let's use the data chip. See how many creatures there are left. There are 6 left, mostly Tripus. Oh yeah, the drop shaft is still moving around. Sometimes it can go like several hundred turns without moving, and then all of a sudden move like 4 times in 100 turns. Where is the drop shaft? X133, Y47. See if we can get there before it changes again. Definitely not going the right way. 225 turns. I don't think so. Here's hoping it doesn't blow up. It blew up. Yeah, now we've overshot it in this direction. And then it moved, so... And yet it moves. Ow. Well, that was the pits. Well, we seem to have a clear divide between the top half and the bottom half. I could cross that mine. It's a tiny little red dot there that designates a mine. Or I could try the teleporter. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try the teleporter and see where that takes me. Some oxygen, some O2. That takes us to a completely new place. 107 turns, huh? Probably afford to take a look around here. Also, a bit of a thing to note here is that cell plant growth is completely unaffected by your performing speed. And same thing as your oxygen consumption. So even if you have a performing speed of 5, your oxygen will still go down at the same speed and cell plants will still increase at the same speed. Now oxygen is understandable because, it's part of you. But I imagine the whole cell plant thing is more for convenience sake. Because you don't want to suddenly be waiting 1,250 turns for a cell plant to grow, especially when your oxygen consumption is still the same. Oh hi, there's a bone crusher that I totally ignored. And it doesn't help that I tend to hold keys to run faster. Because when you actually run into something, most of the things that you run into and just kind of push into regardless will continue to expend turns and therefore oxygen when you try to move into them. Plus, you have the whole thing of If it's an enemy, then it has a chance to attack you without you getting the chance to attack it. It's kind of one of the silly things about Reaping the Dungeon. The whole aspect of having to hold control to attack. In most games, you want to attack something, either it will actually stop you and give you a menu that gives you a chance to attack, or running into it will attack it. Or otherwise, you press. There's also the whole thing of pressing a button that usually comes up in real-time games, but this is not a real-time game. This is clearly turn-based. Basically a roguelike. So my guess is that the last of the creatures are probably up in the top right. I'm actually going to go ahead and use a... Oh, there's one at the top right, one at the bottom left, and we can't get either one of them without potentially getting stuck. So I guess this will be another floor that we don't clear. Still going to at least get the drop shaft for this floor or die trying. Which, the way things are going, the latter option seems pretty viable. Unless I keep running across mines like I am. Oh, hi. Or maybe I'll just die to a creature that I totally didn't see coming. Drop shaft location X63, Y64. So I get to cross this again. And then it disappears anyway. Fantastic. Continuously tempting fate by crossing mines. Let's use a teleportation mushroom. Really wish the data chips actually appeared on the map. Could just be that there are no more data chips. Which is kind of a terrible thing if true. Because that means we're kind of flying blind trying to find the drop shaft with a continuously dwindling oxygen supply that is dangerously low now. I can't really use the cell vents because my health is also dangerously low. And the drop shaft keeps moving around. And keeps moving around and around and around. Let's go ahead and extract this. Try to prolong the agony, I suppose. Falling into pits. And yeah, it's looking very hopeless. This game is remarkably difficult to actually get started. Once you're well equipped, it's not so bad. But to actually get started, the first 5 or 6 floors tend to be pretty flaky. Now, what happens when your oxygen runs out is that your health starts decreasing at the same rate as your oxygen consumption. And one cell of health left, all we can say is our final words: Abraca peanut butter sandwiches. 0 health cells left. You have been destroyed. Well, that's going to be it for this video. Probably not going to do Reaping the Dungeon again. I really just want to show this off for the channel. But I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, the free version should not be too hard to find around the ways. If you do find it and you want to play it in DOSBox, you can set your cycles to auto, but it's usually better to just go max so that you can actually, so that maps will generate faster, basically. So, I'm Coolio if you don't know, and I'll see you guys next time.